Hello everyone, back tuning into today's video. We're going to have a look at the weather next week to 10 days, or today's video, which will take us to around the 15th of August, so heading into the middle of month. Looks like it'll be quite unsettled, quite changeable conditions coming up. No surprise, we talked about it in the videos a lot over the past few days, so it's not a surprise, but it certainly is going to be rather unsettled at times, and particularly wet and windy perhaps at the end of this week, actually, Friday through to Saturday. May even see some gale force winds across southern and western parts of the country. Not what you want to be seeing in early August, but there we go. We are used to unsettled August. It's been a long time since we had a hot and dry August, so we're used to it, and it looks like this August is panning out very similar to the last few years with August generally. So I'll go over to you very shortly, just to say that we are now on Streamlabs. So I've started a Gaz Web with Streamlabs page. We're still on that page right now. We'll be linking to this in the description at YouTube from now on. The reason for doing this is that you may or may not be aware that Google have closed Google Hangouts. So Google Hangouts is what I've been using to do live streams. So that's gone. They've got rid of it. I'm not sure why they have done that. I think it's causing all sorts of ructions across the YouTube community of people very unhappy about doing it. But anyway, Google Hangouts is gone. So the only thing you can use to live stream within YouTube itself is webcam, where I would just sit in front of a webcam and talk, and I wouldn't be able to show charts or do anything like that. So that's not really what I'm interested in. When I'm live streaming, I want to be able to show you charts and images, as well as sort of chatting to everyone. So I've gone to Streamlabs, and I have downloaded their software, and been having a bit of a play around with it this morning. It's rather different to what I'm used to from Google Hangouts, but there's a lot more that you can do with it on the other side of that. So it's going to take me a little while to get used to it, but eventually, hoping by the end of the week, we'll be able to do a little test live stream, and nothing should change on your end. You should be able to watch the live streams at the YouTube channel as normal. So I've connected Streamlabs to YouTube, to the Gaz Web YouTube channel. So you'll be able to watch and listen to live streams as normal on Gaz Web's YouTube channel. The only difference will be at my end in that I'll be using Streamlabs to do the live stream rather than Google Hangouts. So if everything comes together and everything works, then hopefully we'll be able to bring you some live streams very soon. When I found out that they were ditching Google Hangouts, I was thinking that I probably wouldn't be able to do any more live streams. But there are other options, and hopefully this will be one. Big thank you to Savvy, who has been sort of advising me about Streamlabs. So big thanks to him for that. And yeah, hopefully by around Friday, maybe the weekend, we might do a little test live stream using Streamlabs and see how we get on. I'm not the most technically savvy person, so it might take me a little while to get used to this new software, but hopefully it will all come together. And the plan was, of course, that we would do live streams every Sunday from the start of September to coincide to connect with the winter updates. Hopefully, if everything works with Streamlabs, that will still be doable. Right, so that's brought you up to date with that. Now bring you up to date with this. You'll remember that over the past few videos we've been watching this disturbance area in the tropical Atlantic. So that's gone. They've been removed that from the National Hurricane Center alerts page. Now, about a week or so ago, it had a 70% chance that was going to become a named tropical storm. He's talking about it becoming Storm Chantal, I think. So it just goes to show you that even though you can have a high chance of these disturbances becoming sort of active storm areas, they don't always come off, and this is a good example of that, because now that entire disturbance area has been removed, and they're saying tropical cyclone activity is not expected during the next 48 hours. So we shall wait for our next named tropical storm. We're still very early in the season, of course, only the 5th of August, so still very early doors on that. Right, CT next. I think this is about as high as it's going to get for the month, for August. We're currently standing provisionally at 18.8. So that's pretty hot, actually. That's a hot start to August. That's provisional up to yesterday, the 4th of the month. It's 2.6 degrees above average. So that is a pretty hot start to August. We have had hotter, but that's a pretty hot start to August. I think that's about as high as it's going to get. It's cooling down and freshening up today. Of course, there were big thunderstorms yesterday. Sorry for not bringing you Stormwatch. I was a little bit caught out by how many storms there were around yesterday. So I really should have done Stormwatch yesterday afternoon. But afternoon was certainly round if I fancied taking the afternoon off, really. So, sorry about that. Should have brought you Stormwatch yesterday. But anyway, those storms have freshened things up and cooled things down now. So I think that's provision up to yesterday, which was a very warm and humid day before those storms got going. So I think that is about as high as we're going to go. I would expect this to start moving downwards over the next week or two. And the reason for that is that we are bringing in the westerlies. So these are the 500 millibar height anomaly flowcharts from Penn State University. I've got the ECMWF on the top and the GFS is on the bottom. So 500 millibars, 80,000 feet is an area in the atmosphere. High pressure and low pressure are being moved around by the jet stream running above. Red extrapolates high pressure, blue to low pressure. So this would be ECMWF week to 10 day 500 millibar high anomaly flow charting. You see that it is bringing in the westerlies. We've got below average heights through the Atlantic, and the black lines there indicating the jet stream there coming across the Atlantic to UK and west of Europe. So it looks rather flat, looks rather zonal, and it looks rather unsettled too. We do have quite a considerable northern blocking signal as well up towards Greenland, you notice, with those red colours. GFS is very similar. The only difference is that it's a little bit more unsettled, if anything. So again, we've got the below average heights in the Atlantic and extending through into northern Europe. Some above average heights there in the middle of the Atlantic, bringing the jet stream through rather like that. So again, it looks westerly, looks relatively cool. The air is coming out of the North Atlantic with these troughs of low pressure. So rather unsettled, rather changeable conditions, quite unsettled and cool going up to the middle of August, when that gets us to day 10, which is the 15th of August. These are the GFS upper air temperature and precipitation ensembles over the next couple of weeks. I'm at Romford in Essex today. Someone's asked us to have a look at Romford. So the red line here, and by the way, if you would like to have your local town, city, I don't think we can go down to village level yet, but if you would like to have your local town or city featured, then do let us know in the comments, or you can email gavsweathervids@gmail.com, however you want to relay the request. So let us know where you would like to see featured. But you can see overall quite unsettled and rather cool. This is for Essex as well, so it's kind of sheltered to those westerly winds. You can imagine that other places north and west of there are going to be more unsettled, really. But it's an unsettled signal even for Romford. Dealing with the temperatures first, so they're going down now after that very warm start to August. They're on their way a little bit below average, just tick up a bit there. That's around Friday, but of course associated with a big area of low pressure. So although it will turn a bit warmer and quite humid for Friday, there will be wet and windy weather around as well. Doesn't last long, and after that into the weekend and early next week, we go quite cool again. And there's just no sign of anything definitively warm coming up, even into the second half of August. That's the second half of August just there. No sign of anything particularly warm, certainly no sign of anything hot coming up. Just looks like we keep the temperatures rather cool and rather below average, or average to below average, really, as we go into the second half of August. And plenty of precipitation spikes as well. So all of this just here, these little spikes there, they're showers that we've got coming up over the next few days. And then that big area of precipitation spikes is Friday's wet weather. After that, we're back to showery conditions over the weekend and into next week, looking generally unsettled as well. So there will be rain to come and temperatures not particularly exciting. Temperature anomalies from the 5th to the 13th of August. Average to a little bit below average. Does look rather cool in the week ahead, and also wetter than average. Hardly a surprise given that ensemble was just looking at. So this is a precipitation anomaly from the 5th to the 13th of August, and it is generally wetter than average through most parts of the country, particularly so in the north and west. Right, let's have a look at the charts then. So this is how the GFS is seeing things on Thursday. We're under a very slight transient bump of high pressure on Thursday, but we've got the next area of low pressure lurking down to the southwest. That will be on its way for Friday. So here we go. This is 6 o'clock in the morning on Friday, looking wet and windy, rather autumnal looking chart. This 990 millibar area of low pressure sitting just to the southwest of the UK and Ireland, throwing up strong winds indicated by tiny packed isobars, and also bands of heavy rain showers following. And look at that, that's 6 o'clock in the morning on Saturday. That does look autumnal, you have to say. We've got really tightly packed isobars there coming through Ireland, England and Wales in particular. That could get the wind up to 50, 60 miles an hour, I think, around some of those western coasts. It's not totally out of question, but that might become a named storm, named area of low pressure by the UK Met towards the end of the week. We'll watch out for that, but it certainly looks wet and windy, to say the least, and Friday, Saturday. But it's not the sort of chart you want to see on the 10th of August. Remember, 10th of August is a historic day, because that was the day back in 2003 when we reached 38.5 degrees Celsius for 16 years. That was our hottest maximum temperature in the UK, just been beaten, of course, this summer on the 25th of July at 38.7. But anyway, 38.5 on the 10th of August 2003. 16 years was the hottest day on record. Certainly not going to be breaking hot temperature records this 10th of August, because that does look really wet and windy. Into Sunday, that low pressure begin to move away to the east of Scotland. We're pulling in these cool and showery northwesterly winds. We go into the early part of next week, bring down a very cool northerly wind. There'll be more showers associated with that. Through to the middle of next week, we tried to build up a little transient bump of high pressure, but we've got this low again lurking down to our southwest. We have to keep a very close eye on where that's going. This particular GFS run actually takes that down to the north of France, but of course it might take a different route and bring more wet weather around day 10. Into the extended range, well, we tried to build up this little ridge from the extension of the Azores high there, the 16th of August, but it doesn't come to anything. Low pressure is firmly in control of things, and as we go into the second half of the month, we are looking very unsettled and cool still with this GFS run. Actually, that last slide is yesterday's GFS run, so just refresh it. There we go. Makes very little difference. And it's still looking very unsettled and quite cool as we go to the very end of the GFS run, which gets us to Wednesday, the 21st of August. The GEM looks like that, so a little transient bump of high pressure for Thursday, but it's only ahead of this deepening area of low pressure to the southwest approaches on Friday. Turns into a major area of low pressure by Friday through to Saturday. Gale force winds, heavy rain lashing the country probably. Sunday still looking unsettled. We don't really get rid of that low pressure to our east until the early part of next week with the GEM. And then we go into a rather sort of mixed period again. That gets us to day 10, which is Thursday, the 15th of August. So more low pressure is heading in from off the Atlantic. We also have quite extensive blocking continuing up towards Greenland, which of course is shoving the jet stream southwards. And then we've got the ECMWF again, very slight little transient bump ahead of this low pressure developing on Thursday. That low pressure winding itself up as we go from Friday through to Saturday, again becoming quite a major feature. For a while this will pull up some quite warm air from the south. You'll notice there midnight on Friday, but low pressure down to our southwest, and ahead of it we are bringing up the air from the south. But of course that warm air is what's fueling the low in a way. We've got the warm air coming up ahead of this low from the south, and then we've got cool air feeding into the backside of the low. So the temperature contrast between the warmth ahead of it and the cool air behind it, that's what will fuel the low pressure and blow it up into a very significant feature. So by midnight on Saturday, we're looking wet and windy across the whole of the country. That low clearing away to east of Scotland by Sunday, but leaving us in this very cool and showering northwesterly wind into the early part of next week. Again, there's that little transient bump of high pressure trying to build up from the southwest on Tuesday, 13th of August, but it's very quickly flattened off as this next low rolls in over the top of it from off the Atlantic, and that becomes quite a significant feature by day 10 actually. Again, looking rather autumnal. I think the central pressure with that one is possibly going down to something like 985 millibars, maybe 980 even, to the northwest of Scotland. We've got the 995 isobar there, that's 990, so that would be 985. So right in the centre of this little low, just there, that would be around 980 millibars to the northwest of Scotland. That is autumnal. It's very, very deep area of low pressure for the middle of August. So that would bring a risk of gale force winds to northern and western parts of Scotland. And all the time just looking very unsettled and rather cool up to day 10. These are the options that we've got on the table within the ECM ensembles today at day 10. From the Icelandic Met Office, this gets us to 240 hours away. It's the 15th of August. We have 22 members of the ECM ensembles, including the control and the operational run, that are looking very, very unsettled. The operational run is the run we're just looking at, of course, very unsettled, low pressure, almost over top of the country, a trough in 500 millibar flow, blocking up over Greenland, jet streams push southwards. I mean, if it can go wrong, it has all gone wrong there for summer. Really, it can't get much worse than that in the middle of August. There's 17 members of the ECM ensembles with below average heights over the east of Scotland, above average heights down to our southwest. So that is trying to raise pressure a little bit from the southwest, from the Azores, but overall probably still quite unsettled. And then 12 just here have a trough of low pressure extending through Scandinavia into Central Europe, blocking again up towards Greenland. That's unsettled, but that's also the coolest option because that's bringing the wind in from the north. Really, all options at day 10 are looking unsettled. It's just the exact detail that's to be nailed down, but all options do sort of lead to unsettled conditions at day 10. And then in 2 weeks' time, these are the options that we've got. This gets us to the 20th of August. We have 16 members of the ECM ensemble still looking unsettled. Below average heights through the country. Jet streams coming through like that. 14 have a trough of below average heights over the top of the UK. So that's a big dip in the 500 millibar flow. Obviously, they're going to be very unsettled. 11 with below average heights to the northeast of Scotland, raising heights a little bit to the south, but overall probably still quite unsettled with those. And 10 with low pressure, below average heights just north of Scotland. Again, they look quite unsettled too. So even in 2 weeks' time, taking us into the second half of August, 20th of August, it seems as though all roads are leading to unsettled conditions. The only question is the exact minute detail, but all sort of options seem to be unsettled at the moment, even in 2 weeks' time. Finally, this is how the CFS V2 is looking for the next 4 weeks. These are 500 millibar heights broken down to weekly periods. The first weekly period takes us from the 5th to the 11th of August. The coming week is unsettled with below average heights coming into the UK like that. We're bringing in westerlies too, so again, unsettled conditions and relatively cool in the week ahead. Week 2 also looks unsettled. This is 12th to the 18th of August. Below average heights then over and just to the east of the country. Again, bringing in winds from the west, so that looks unsettled there. Into week 3, which is the 19th to the 25th of August, still unsettled, below average heights over just to the east of the country, again bringing in those westerly winds rather like that. And then finally we get to week 4. Signs of a bit of a change here. This gets us from the 26th of August to the 1st of September. Still below average heights to the north, but heights are beginning to rise, look at this, to our southwest. That will be starting to move the jet stream northwards. Is that the beginnings of a classic spell of warmer, drier weather through the early part of September? Certainly won't be the first time we had a warmer, drier spell in early September. That might be the start of that, so we should keep a very close eye on those charts in the week ahead. Finally, this is how the temperature anomaly is looking for the next 4 weeks. So the coming week is a little bit on mild and average side, actually. Temperature still just about managing to hold up, but by the time we get through to week 2, which is the 12th to the 18th of August, we're going cooler than average. Quite a cool week coming up there. Week 3, which is the 19th to 25th of August, are also looking below average with the temperature. And then week 4 going towards average, so maybe by then as that ridge begins to build down to southwest of us, possibly temperature starts to recover a little bit there from the 26th of August to 1st of September. And then we have the precipitation anomaly, wetter than average in the week ahead, from the 5th to the 11th of August, above average rainfall from the 12th to the 18th of August too. Then we've got the week 3 precipitation anomaly, the 19th to 25th of August. That's closer to average, so perhaps not quite as unsettling that week. And then average precipitation in week 4, 26th of August to 1st of September. Possibly 1 or 2 signs it's going to be dry and average down to our southwest. That's as that ridge is beginning to strengthen. So it's still looking pretty grim for the next couple of weeks. I think we're going to have bouts of rain. We've established it could get very windy as well at the end of this week and into the coming weekend. So wet and windy conditions Friday through to Saturday, and after that through next week, generally looking quite changeable too. We may have to wait until late on in the month before we start to generate some higher pressure, but we shall see about that, and obviously we'll keep you posted on developments over the next few updates. Right, that's it for, I think that's it for today. Tomorrow we'll have another week 10-day video update. We will also have the ECMWF 30-day look ahead tomorrow as well, and I think we'll have one last update for those events coming up this weekend, which I think is Boomtown and the Bristol Balloon Festival, and another one, Love Summer Fest, I think it was. So that'll be coming up for you tomorrow. That's all for now, though, and thanks for watching.